than human.
And welcome back to the channel. My name is J.R. Carroll. I am the author of the More Than Human novels. And today we are going to talk about why you should read A Song of Ice and Fire. A Song of Ice and Fire is one of the most celebrated series of all time, fantasy or otherwise. It was written by George R. R. Martin, and the first book, A Game of Thrones, came out in 1996. And it took it a little while to gain steam, but it quickly became a huge success inside of high fantasy and epic fantasy. And in 2011, when the world really got exposed to A Song of Ice and Fire, is when HBO released the first season of A Game of Thrones. And the books are so much deeper. I mean, these are huge books, right? So even with a whole season and an 8-10 hour season, you can't really put all of these books and all the details. I started reading these books about a year and a half ago, and I went straight through them. I was one of those people who was a little apprehensive at first because he hasn't written a book in 13 years now. The last book, I believe, was A Dance with Dragons, came out in 2011. And, so a lot of people are like, it's never going to get finished. But I just wanted to give it a shot. So many people that I really trust were just head over heels for this book series. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. If I don't like the first book, I'll just call it quits and, we'll be square. But man, that first book is excellent. It is a big book, 800, 900 pages, but this is where I will say George R. R. Martin, his strong suit, and maybe he might be the best of all time at this, is the massive POVs. I don't know how many actual POVs are in the first book, but there's a lot. And he does them better than anybody. I've read a few books, really large books, that have 200 characters in it or something crazy like that. And sometimes when you start getting those kind of numbers, a lot of stuff, you'll be finding yourself another person talking, and you'll be like, is that who? But you don't really have that with A Song of Ice and Fire. George is just excellent at transitions from one character to another. You're never confused about what happened. I don't know if it's just because he's just such a great writer overall that as soon as you come back to a character, you automatically remember what they were doing. So I think that's just kudos to his writing prowess. But this world is massive. I mean, he paints these pictures, and because the books are so long, and so you get to spend a lot of time with these characters, the world just feels real when you're in it. You can see the castles, you can see the mountains and the dragons. But this series, I thought, George isn't doing himself any favors by kind of snapping at fans here or there and going off and writing video games. But I think with A Game of Thrones, the way it ended, a lot of people were like, I think that piled on him, really. Because it's like, oh, it ended bad and you haven't written anything. But now, with House of Dragon being so successful and so popular and so good, maybe that'll light a fire under George, and maybe he'll be able to get this next book out a lot faster. But let me know, are you guys interested in A Game of Thrones, or are you one of these people who doesn't read series until they're finished, or are you just mad at George for waiting so long to get this next book out? Let me know in the comments. Check us out on Discord. The links will be below. And remember, be more than human.